everyone! Welcome to PST channel, Game Stories, Movie Style, for your busy day. Today we will journey to forgotten past, to far future, and to the end of time. A big adventure to save the planet now begins. Here is summary story Chrono Trigger, the timeless RPG classic and a must-known JRPG if you haven't already. Let's make history together once again. The story begins when Crono makes plans with his close friend, Lucca, to visit her new invention at Lean Square. On his way there, Crono accidentally bumps into a young girl named Marle. The impact causes her pendant to fall off. Crono picks it up and returns it to her. After that, they introduce themselves. Marle then asks Crono to show her around the festival, and Crono agrees. They head to the top of the square, where Lucca and her father are showing off her new invention, called the telepod. This device can instantly move matter from one pod to another. For the demonstration, Crono steps into one pod and teleports to the other, and it works perfectly. Seeing this, Marle wants to try the telepod herself. But as soon as she does, her pendant reacts strangely with the device. A blue time gate appears and sucks Marle inside, leaving only her pendant behind. Crono picks up Marle's pendant and asks Lucca to run the telepod again. Lucca does not know where this blue gate might send him and is unsure, but Crono insists. Finally, Lucca agrees. When she activates the telepod again, the pendant reacts and another time gate appears, pulling Crono inside. This time gate sends Crono back to the year 600 AD, during the era called the Middle Ages. He appears at Truce Canyon, north of the town of Truce. This canyon is filled with fiends, also known as mystics. Marle arrived before Crono. After she appeared in this era, soldiers took her to Guardia Castle. At this time, Queen Lean was missing. Marle looks very much like the queen, so the soldiers think Marle is Queen Lean. Marle is confused, but she pretends to be the queen for now. Crono hurries to Guardia Castle. The soldiers surround him because he looks unusual for their time. Marle, still acting as the queen, steps in and tells the soldiers that Crono is her friend. Then Marle takes Crono to her room. There, Marle reveals that everyone is calling her Queen Lean, and she does not understand why. Before they can finish talking, Marle's body suddenly disappears right in front of Crono. Back in the present, the year 1000 AD, Lucca builds a device called the Gate Key. It can stabilize the time gates so that they can be opened and closed at will. Lucca follows Crono back to Guardia Castle and explains why Marle's face seemed familiar. Marle is actually Princess Nadia, the only daughter of King Guardia 33. When Lucca learns that Marle has vanished, she guesses it is because Queen Lean was never rescued in the past. Since everyone in the past believed Marle was the queen, no one looked for the real Lean. If Queen Lean never returns, her descendants, including Marle 400 years later, will never exist. Crono and Lucca decide they must save Queen Lean at once. They learn that the queen was last seen near Millennial Cathedral, west of the castle. When Crono and Lucca go there, they are attacked by Naga monsters disguised as nuns. As they are about to be harmed, a mysterious swordsman named Frog appears and rescues them. Together, Crono, Lucca, and Frog join forces and enter the depths of Millennial Cathedral. Inside, they discover the lair of a fiend named Yakra. With their combined strength, they defeat Yakra. Queen Lean is safe, and the Chancellor, King Guardia 21's right-hand man, is also rescued. Yakra had been posing as the Chancellor and had imprisoned the Queen in the cathedral. And now that Queen Lean is safe, Marle reappears. The group then returns to their own time period. Back in the year 1000 AD, Crono brings Marle back to Guardia Castle. Suddenly, Crono is arrested and charged with kidnapping the princess. he is sentenced to be executed in 3 days. With Lucca's help, Crono escapes from prison. Marle, upset by the Chancellor's unfair actions and feeling trapped by the King's strict rules, decides to run away with Crono and Lucca. The three flee into the forest east of the castle. There, they find another time gate. Cornered by soldiers, they choose to enter the gate, not knowing where it leads, but preferring that to being captured. The time gate takes them to the year 2300 AD. It is a post-apocalyptic future. Civilization has fallen, and only about 10% of humanity remains. The world is cold, food is scarce, and people only survive inside domes for safety. Crono and the others appear in the empty Bangor Dome. They set out to find a way home. At Tran Dome, they meet some of the survivors living there. These people say that if Crono's group wants answers, they should go to Eris Dome, where a supercomputer might help them. At Eris Dome, they find very few people. The caretaker, an old man named Doan, says there is a supercomputer and frozen food stored in the dome's basement. However, no one can get them because the robots down there attack humans. One volunteer went down before and never returned. Hearing this, Marle offers to go into the basement to shut down the robots. After fighting through many dangers, they find that the stored food is spoiled. The volunteer who went down earlier has died, his body leaning against the wall. In his hand are some mysterious seeds, which Marle takes. Lucca finds the control room and shuts down the robot defenses. The supercomputer now gives the information they need. It says a time gate is inside the protodome. They are relieved, but while celebrating, Marle accidentally presses a button. This activates a recording on the supercomputer, showing the day of Lavos, the day the world ended. After watching the recording, they all agree they must try to save the world. They return to Doan and tell him everything. Marle gives the seeds to Doan and tells everyone not to lose hope. Crono's group then continues on their journey. Then they reach the protodome, where they find a broken robot lying still. Lucca repairs the robot and brings it back to life. She names it Robo. Robo explains that a long time ago, both humans and robots like him lived here. But something terrible happened, causing everyone to disappear. The time gate that the supercomputer mentioned is behind a sealed door in the protodome. The door cannot open because the power is off. So, Crono and the others must go to the derelict factory to restore the power. Robo leads them to the factory as thanks for repairing him. Inside, the factory's robots are all programmed to attack humans. Crono's group reaches the deepest part and reactivates the power. On the way back, they encounter robots similar to Robo, the R-Series units. Robo recognizes them, but when he tries to greet them, the R-Series robots attack him for helping humans. Crono's group defeats them and takes Robo back to the protodome for repairs. Lucca asks Robo what he wants to do next. Robo says no one has ever asked him that before, and he wishes to travel with them. In the room behind the protodome, they find the time gate. They all enter it together, hoping to return to their own time. But it does not go as planned. The gate leads them to the end of time. While exploring this place, they meet a mysterious old man. He explains that they ended up there because traveling through time with 4 or more people from different eras causes a time distortion. If they want to keep traveling through time, one person must stay behind at the end of time. This is necessary to prevent further distortion of the time flow, and the nearby pillars of light connect the end of time to different eras. Using these portals, they can travel across time. Crono's group continues searching for clues about Lavos in the year 1000 AD, known as the present. However, the gate link to the end of time leads them instead to Medina Village, a small place populated almost entirely by fiends, survivors from the Great War with humans in 600 AD. Some fiends have let go of their hate, while others still feel anger and hatred toward humans. In the center of the village is a square where the fiends who hate humans worship Magus, with a statue of this Fiendlord at its heart. From these fiends, Crono's group learns that back in 600 AD, Magus summoned Lavos, but both Magus and Lavos then vanished without a trace. Hearing this, Crono's group decides that everything must have started with Magus. If they go back to 600 AD and stop him, the world will be safe. After that, Crono's group travels to 600 AD. When they arrive, they learn that the Fiend army is fighting against the humans. Yet there is some good news: a hero from a prophecy has appeared, holding the legendary hero's badge. To reach Magus's castle, called the Fiendlord's Keep, they must travel through the magic cave, which is sealed by a huge boulder. The only thing that can break this boulder is the legendary sword Masamune. Crono's group joins the Guardia army to help drive out the fiends. The soldiers speak of Cyrus, the former knight captain of Guardia, saying that if he were still around, things would be much better. But no one knows what happened to him. Crono's group heads to the Denadoro Mountains, since they've heard that the hero's sword is resting deep inside. There, they meet the so-called hero everyone has been talking about. In truth, he is just a normal boy named Tada, who found the hero's badge in a bar by chance. The villagers misunderstood and thought he was the hero. Tada also came to the mountains looking for the legendary sword, but he was chased away by fiends before he could even try. Crono's group climbs to the deepest part of the Denadoro Mountains and finds the resting place of Masamune. Only the broken blade's tip remains. Before they can take it, the spirits Masa and Mune appear, testing Crono's worthiness. After Crono defeats them, they agree to let him have the blade's tip. With it in hand, Crono's group heads to the Cursed Wood in search of the knight who is said to look like a frog, Frog himself. They find Frog there, but he's depressed and has given up on everything. Without telling him, Crono's group quietly takes the broken hilt of the sword that Frog had. At first, they don't know how to repair the sword, but they notice a name carved into the hilt, Melchior, the swordsmith who originally forged the Masamune. He lives in Crono's time period. Crono's group returns to the present, 1000 AD, and asks Melchior to fix the Masamune. Melchior is willing, but he needs Dreamstone, a rare material that existed around 65 million years ago. It has long since vanished from the world. With no choice, Crono's group travels through time once more to the prehistory era, 65 million BC. When they arrive, they are attacked by Reptites, creatures that look half human and half dinosaur. As they fight, a mysterious prehistory woman named Ayla appears and drives away the Reptites. Ayla is a strong and straightforward prehistoric human who sometimes even runs on all fours. Impressed by Crono's strength, she invites them to her village, Ioka Village, and prepares a welcome feast. Ayla is the chief of Ioka Village. That night, she shows Crono a red stone and says it represents strength. She promises that if Crono can beat her in a drinking contest, she will give him the stone. This red stone is actually Dreamstone. After the contest, everyone unexpectedly falls asleep. The next morning, Lucca wakes up and shouts that the gate key is missing. They find suspicious footprints nearby. It turns out Kino, a member of Ioka Village who admires Ayla and fears losing her to Crono, stole the gate key and hid it. But then Kino himself was attacked by Reptites, who took the gate key from him. Ayla finds Kino and learns the truth. She shouts that she already likes Kino and doesn't want him doing cruel things. After clearing things up, Crono's group and Ayla set out to reclaim the gate key from the Reptites. They head for the Reptites' lair. Fighting through the Reptites' lair, they reach the innermost area and encounter Azala, the leader of the Reptites. When Azala sees them, she summons Nizbal, one of her minions, to fight. Crono's group defeats Nizbal, and Azala is forced to return the gate key. After getting the gate key back, Ayla keeps her promise and gives the Dreamstone to Crono. With this, Crono's group returns to 1000 AD and gives the Dreamstone to Melchior. Melchior and Lucca then repair the Masamune. Crono's group returns again to 600 AD with the repaired Masamune and the hero's badge, which they got back from Tada. They present them to Frog. Seeing the blade shocks Frog, and he tells the story of himself and Cyrus. 10 years ago, Cyrus went on a quest to find the legendary sword and badge to prove himself the prophesied hero. Frog traveled with him. Together, they reclaimed the hero's badge from the Frog King and found the Masamune. they then confronted Magus, but Cyrus was unable to defeat him. In the end, the Masamune was broken in two, and Cyrus was killed by Magus. Before dying, Cyrus asked Frog to keep Queen Lean safe. Magus didn't kill Frog, but cursed him, turning him into a half-human, half-frog being. Frog has never forgotten this. Gathering his resolve, Frog decides to head to the Fiendlord's keep to avenge Cyrus and protect Guardia Kingdom. Crono's group joins him. They arrive at the magic cave, which is blocked by a huge boulder. Frog remembers his childhood. He was often bullied, and it was Cyrus who stood up for him every time. When Cyrus asked why Frog never fought back, Frog said he didn't want to hurt anyone. Cyrus understood then that Frog had a gentle heart. Now determined, Frog lifts the Masamune. The sword shines in the sky, and when Frog swings it, the boulder blocking the magic cave splits apart. Before entering, Frog reveals his true name is Glenn. He carries Cyrus's dreams and promises to defeat Magus and restore lost honor. Crono's group breaks into the Fiendlord's keep. Before facing Magus, they battle his three henchmen: Flash, a demon swordsman; Flea, a powerful mage, who looks like a woman but is actually male; and finally Ozzy, who's like a foster father to Magus. After defeating these three, Crono's group confronts Magus in his ritual chamber. Magus is in the middle of summoning Lavos. Crono's group interrupts him just in time. The battle's outcome is not decided yet when Lavos awakens suddenly. A strange distortion in time and space occurs, creating a huge gate that swallows Crono's group and Magus. Crono's group ends up back in 65 million BC and is helped by Ayla once more. They awaken to find Laruba village on fire. Everyone rushes there. It turns out the Reptites are behind the attack, and they have captured many villagers, including Kino, taking them all to the Tyranno Lair. Ayla must rescue them. Ayla asks the chief of Laruba village for the use of the dactyls, flying creatures that can carry them to Tyranno Lair. Crono's group breaks into Tyranno Lair, frees the kidnapped villagers and Kino, and then faces Azala again. This time, Crono's group defeats Azala. Just then, a large red meteor falls from the sky, headed straight for Tyranno Lair. Ayla tries to persuade Azala to escape with her, but Azala refuses. At that moment, Kino returns with the dactyls to pick everyone up. Right after they leave, the red meteor slams into Tyranno Lair, destroying it completely. It is then that Crono's group realizes Lavos came to this world by itself. Magus did not create it. The name Lavos was given by Ayla, with La meaning fireball and Vos meaning big. Crono's group hurries back to Tyranno Lair and finds everything in ruins. There, they discover a new time gate. With nothing left to lose, they decide to enter the gate. Now that Ayla knows about Lavos, she chooses to join Crono on his journey. The time gate leads them to the year 12,000 BC, during the golden age of the Kingdom of Zeal. This kingdom is ruled by Queen Zeal, who has two children, Scala and Janus. In this ancient time, people are divided into two groups. The enlightened ones can use magic and live above the clouds in the Kingdom of Zeal. The earthbound ones cannot use magic and are forced to live on the cold earth below. In Enhesa, a place where the enlightened ones study dreams to gain wisdom and truth, Crono's group meets Prince Janus of Zeal. Before leaving with his cat, Janus prophesies that one member of Crono's group will die. At the top of the kingdom lies the Zeal Palace, home to the royal family. Crono's group heads there, hoping to learn about Lavos. They find out that the three gurus, who served as wise men and advisors to the queen, have mysteriously disappeared. While exploring Zeal Palace, they overhear Janus and his sister Scala, the gentle and caring princess of Zeal, talking. Both sense an ominous future ahead. Janus says that even though the queen still looks like their mother, inside she has changed. After this, Scala gives Janus an amulet before she is summoned by the queen. Crono's group then encounters the Mammon machine. This machine absorbs energy from Lavos, known as the Frozen Flame. It was built from Dreamstone by Melchior, the Guru of Life, who vanished after completing it. At the entrance to the Queen's chamber, they see Scala using her pendant to open the door. When Crono's group tries it, nothing happens. The pendant, passed down through generations until Marle eventually inherited it, is also made of Dreamstone. Crono's group charges Marle's pendant with power from the Mammon machine to make it work like Shala's. Now the pendant can open the door to the throne room. Inside, they meet Queen Zeal. Long ago, she was kind and loved by all. Now, at her side, a mysterious prophet warns that Crono's group will bring trouble. The Queen orders Dalton to capture them. Crono's group is defeated and imprisoned by the Queen's magic. Later, Scala secretly rescues them, believing they can save Melchior from the Mountain of Woe. But before they can leave, the prophet appears, ready to destroy them. Scala pleads for their lives, and the prophet agrees, under the condition that Crono's group returns to the same time gate they used to enter Zeal. Scala then seals the gate so it can never be used again. Crono's group returns to the end of time and seeks advice from the mysterious old man. He suggests that long ago, a friend of his tried to build the Wing of Time or time machine. If Crono's group can find this friend, they won't have to rely on time gates anymore. Following this clue, Crono's group travels to the year 2300 AD and enters the Keeper Dome. Even there, they find records left behind by a man named Balthasar, the guru of reason from the Kingdom of Zeal, who has also vanished. According to his writings, after the kingdom's downfall, he was hurled into this era. He learned the truth about Lavos. It arrived on the planet long ago, now hiding at Death Peak while feeding on the world's energy to grow stronger. Lavos appeared briefly in 600 AD when Magus summoned it, then vanished again. In 1999 AD, Lavos awakened and destroyed the world, then settled at Death Peak. Balthasar studied Lavos and built something in hopes of defeating it, a time machine. With the time machine in hand, Crono's group returns to 12,000 BC. But the direct route to the magical kingdom is blocked. So they head to Algedy village, where the Earthbound ones live. Many of these people were forced to help build the Ocean Palace and never returned. Crono's group learns that one of the three gurus is imprisoned at the Mountain of Woe. If they can free him, they might gain more useful information. They go there and rescue Melchior, who is being held captive. Crono's group recognizes Melchior as the one who repaired the Masamune for them, but this Melchior does not know them. This seems to be the first time he has met Crono's group. Afterward, Crono's group and Melchior return to Algedy village to find a way to defeat Lavos. Melchior says that if the Mammon machine is placed too close to Lavos, it might awaken. While they are talking, Scala and Janus arrive, telling everyone that the Ocean Palace is now complete. To activate the Mammon machine, which has been moved to the Ocean Palace, the Queen needs Shala's power. Scala does not agree with what her mother is doing, so she sneaks out. She asks Crono's group to stop the Queen's plan. Just then, Dalton appears and forces Scala to continue the plan. Crono's group cannot fight back for fear of hurting her. Before Crono's group departs to save Scala, Melchior gives them the ruby knife, which was forged from Dreamstone. He says its power can destroy the Mammon machine. Crono's group rushes to the Ocean Palace through the Skyway at the Zeal Palace. Eventually, they reach the Ocean Palace's core and find that the Mammon machine has already been activated. Crono throws the ruby knife at the Mammon machine. Infused with Lavos' power, the ruby knife turns into the Masamune, revealing its true origin. However, the Mammon machine continues to run, and its immense energy awakens Lavos once more. Crono's group tries to fight Lavos but cannot prevail. That moment, the prophet reveals his true identity. He is Magus. After being swallowed by the Black Gate, he ended up here. He gained the Queen's trust to stay close to her, all for the sake of getting a chance to take revenge on Lavos. Magus attacks Lavos, but he can't harm it. Lavos strikes back, leaving Magus badly wounded. Now Queen Zeal harnesses Lavos' immense power, making her body immortal. As Lavos delivers the final blow, Crono uses the last of his strength to shield everyone else, causing his own body to be destroyed and vanish. With her remaining power, Scala sends everyone except herself back to the surface. Her fate remains unknown. With no one left to oppose her, the Queen transforms the Ocean Palace into the Black Omen, a floating fortress. Lavos' awakening destroys the Kingdom of Zeal, and the once floating lands crash into the sea, causing massive tidal waves that devastate Algedy village and kill many people. Only a few survivors remain among the Enlightened ones and Earthbound ones. Marle and the others, saved from the Ocean Palace by Shala's power, wake up in a tent within a new village where both Enlightened ones and Earthbound ones live together. They learn that during the chaos, Melchior protected Janus from a mysterious black portal, but both were swallowed up and disappeared. Dalton takes advantage of the kingdom's downfall and declares himself king. He seizes the village and locks Marle's group inside the Blackbird, an aircraft designed by Balthasar and now under Dalton's command. Dalton also takes their time machine, fitting it with wings so it can fly, unaware that it can also travel through time. Just as Dalton is about to take off in the time machine, Marle's group breaks out and confronts him. A battle ensues. During the fight, Dalton summons Golem Overlord, but it is sucked into a portal. After this, Marle's group returns to the village and hears rumors that someone else survived and is at the North Cape. They go there and find that it is Magus. He tells them about his past. When he was a child, Janus, Lavos was awakened by the queen. As everyone faced death, Janus and the three gurus were swallowed by a black portal. Each sent into different eras. Janus ended up in 600 AD, raised by Ozzy and known as the Fiendlord Magus. He believed that Scala must have been killed by Lavos, fueling his rage. He studied Lavos for a long time, trained himself, and eventually summoned it to take revenge. And now Magus fully understands Lavos' power and mocks Crono for foolishly trying to stand against it, losing his life in the process. Marle's group, especially Glenn, is furious, but they know that fighting Magus won't bring Crono or Cyrus back. They hold back, and Magus decides to set out to defeat Lavos as well. Using what he knows, he might even be able to bring Crono back. To do that, they need to find Gasper, the Guru of Time. Marle's group heads to the end of time and asks the mysterious old man about Gasper. The old man gives them an egg-shaped object called the Chrono Trigger, Time Egg. Under the right conditions, it can bring the user back to a desired point in time. He says they must find Balthasar, who built the time machine, to learn how to hatch the egg. At that moment, with his unexpected help, Marle's group realizes that the mysterious old man is actually Gasper, the Guru of Time. Their next goal is to find Balthasar. They return to the Keeper Dome, where a robot serving as Balthasar's proxy tells them that Dead Peak is the best place in time to bring someone back to life. Marle's group goes to Death Peak and uses the time egg with all their heartfelt wishes. Marle's pendant responds to their prayers, reacting with the Chrono Trigger until it breaks and vanishes into the air. Just when everyone thinks they've failed, a sudden eclipse occurs, and darkness falls. Marle's group is sent back to the moment before Crono was killed by Lavos. Time stands still, with only Marle's group able to move. Marle uses this chance to swap Crono with the lifelike clone they obtained earlier, saving Crono's life. They return to the end of time, where Gasper advises them that if they want to fight Lavos, they have two paths: confront it in 1999 AD or face it through the Black Omen. He also suggests completing various side quests to gain more strength. Marle's quest: in 1000 AD, Marle's father, King Guardia 33, is accused by the Chancellor of selling the royal heirloom, the Rainbow Shell, for personal gain. Crono and Marle set out to find the Rainbow Shell and clear the king's name. After proving her father's innocence, the Chancellor reveals himself as Yakra 13, a descendant of the Yakra who kidnapped Queen Lean. Crono's group defeats Yakra 13 and rescues the real Chancellor. Marle and her father reconcile and understand each other at last. Lucca's quest: in 600 AD, Crono's group meets Fiona, a woman who wants to restore a forest swallowed by desert sands. Though it will take centuries to fully grow. Robo volunteers to stay behind and help Fiona restore the forest over the ages. When Crono's group returns to 1000 AD, they find that the desert area has become a lush forest, and Fiona's home is now Fiona's shrine, surrounded by greenery. Inside, they find Robo, covered in rust but happy to see them. For Robo, it wasn't just a moment, but a full 400 years waiting for his friends to return. That night, everyone celebrates around a campfire in the forest. Robo speaks up, saying he has been thinking about the existence of an entity, a being who seems to have guided Crono's group through time to fix events that the entity regrets. Marle asks Lucca if there is something she wishes she could change in the past. Lucca hesitates and says no. Then late that night, while everyone else is asleep, Lucca suddenly wakes and sees a red time gate. She steps through it and finds herself at her own home 10 years earlier, in the year 990 AD. There, she prevents a tragic accident in which her mother's dress would have gotten caught in a machine's conveyor belt. Originally, this accident left her mother injured and unable to walk, but now that Lucca saves her, her mother never suffers the injury and remains able to walk normally. Lucca feels relieved to have resolved this painful memory. Robo's quest: Crono's group travels to Geno Dome, a robot factory in 2300 AD, and discovers Robo's origins. His true name is Prometheus, and he was created in this very dome. they encounter Mother Brain, the central computer that wants to create a massive army of robots to destroy humankind, believing the world no longer needs humans. Mother Brain wants to build a robotic utopia, sending orders to all robots to kill any human they see. Crono's group defeats Mother Brain, but before that, they face Artropos XR, a robot who was once kind like Robo. Mother Brain reprogrammed Artropos to destroy humans, and she attacks Robo. Robo manages to defeat Artropos. In her final moments, Artropos gives Robo her ribbon. After that, Crono's group confronts Mother Brain in her chamber and uses their combined strength to defeat her. Glenn's quest. Glenn returns to the grave of Cyrus, his dearest friend. Cyrus's spirit appears and thanks Glenn for keeping his promises to visit him again and to protect the Kingdom of Guardia. Cyrus says that after he was slain by Magus, he worried about his king, his queen, and Glenn. But now that Glenn has grown so strong and will safeguard them, Cyrus's worries fade. After their conversation, Cyrus bids farewell and finds peace. This meeting helps Glenn let go of his regrets and burdens, causing the Masamune to gain even greater power. Magus's quest. Crono's group and Magus return to 600 AD during the fierce war between humans and fiends. They confront Ozzy. When Ozzy sees Magus with Crono's group, he is shocked and calls Magus a traitor for siding with the enemy. Crono's group then fights Ozzy, Slash, and Flea. After defeating them, if they return to the present they find that the fiends no longer hold any hatred toward humans. Everyone can now live together in peace. Before, some fiends let go of hatred and some clung to it, but now all have set hatred aside. Afterward, Crono's group enters the Black Omen to destroy Lavos. Deep within, they face Queen Zeal and defeat her. Using her power, she awakens Lavos again, causing the Black Omen to sink into the ocean. Crono's group battles Lavos with great difficulty, breaking through its shell. Inside, they find Lavos' true form, absorbing energy and DNA from every life form for millions of years. The fight is tough, even though they manage to prevail. But it's not over, there's another form inside. They fight the true core of Lavos and finally destroy it, saving the world from destruction. After their final, grueling battle, Crono's group returns to the year 1000 AD to rest. King Guardia 33 summons Crono and thanks him. Lucca uses the time machine to bring witnesses from various eras, Kino from the Prehistory, King Guardia 21 from the Middle Ages, and Dawn from the future, to confirm that Crono saved the world. That night, everyone celebrates the 1000th anniversary of the Kingdom of Guardia. Then it's time for everyone to return to their own eras. Ayla and Kino return to 65 million BC to marry and have descendants. Glenn and King Guardia 21's return to 600 AD. Before leaving, Marle kisses Glenn on the cheek. Magus returns to 600 AD to search for Scala. Robo and Dawn go back to 2300 AD. Lucca and Robo say goodbye to each other in tears. Just then, Crono's mother chases after Crono's cat, accidentally entering a time gate. It closes behind them, with no clue as to which era she's gone to. Crono, Lucca, and Marle take the time machine and set off again through the ages to find Crono's mother. While Crono, Lucca, and Marle were rushing to the time machine, they encountered King Guardia, who was installing Nadia's bell in the center of the square. As Crono, Lucca, and Marle travel through time, they glimpse the lives and futures of their friends, bringing Chrono Trigger's story to a close. Despite the triumphant resolution, several mysteries remain unanswered. What became of Balthasar, one of the 3 gurus of Zeal and the genius behind the time machine? And what of Scala? Did she truly survive, and can Magus possibly save her? Questions find new life in a previously unrevealed conclusion known as the Dream's Epilogue. Crono and his friends encounter another Magus from another timeline, this time in a desperate battle against the Dream Devourer, a fearsome fusion of Lavos and Princess Scala. Though Crono's party rushes in to aid Magus, they are overwhelmed. At the last moment, Scala briefly regains her senses. Fearing she will lose control once more, she teleports Crono and his companions to safety. Magus, however, is cast into a remote forest, left with only a faint memory that he has forgotten something crucial, something he is now determined to rediscover. Back in Crono's world, peace seems to have returned at last. Wait, who is this child? Where did they come from? These lingering threads lead us into the events of Chrono Cross. Stay tuned for full story in the Chrono Cross summary. You will understand the situation of those missing people and the impact on the future timeline in their hands. Please like and subscribe if you like this channel. This channel is created for people who want to experience game stories but not have the time commitment. We will cover the trilogy of Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and Another Eden. Thank you and see you soon!